Go away, middle-aged folks with little education. My company doesn't need you. As an interviewer, this guy is an absolute disaster. It's unfortunate that job searchers have to work with someone such as him. Well, I guess I'll be leaving then. Now go ahead and leave. Move quickly. You stupid, you're in the way. This exceeded my expectations significantly. Will Davis is my name. I joined a computer company after high school and put in a ton of effort with a youthful enthusiasm. There were occasions when promotions to college grads outpaced mine, but I reminded myself that this was a merit-based organization where performance was what mattered. After 30 years, I was promoted to sales director after higher management finally noticed how hard I had worked. I went from being the company president to the president of the business when the 65-year-old president became the chairman, a 2-level promotion. However, being the president of a big firm doesn't automatically make you the best. The chairman, the board of directors, the auditors, and the shareholders meeting were all above me. I therefore had limitations on what I could accomplish as president. As a matter of fact, I was appointed president for a unique reason. All of the higher management agreed that the company's culture and thinking needed to be changed in order to end its stagnation. I was picked to spearhead the reforms because, at 50, I was the right age to be a young, creative leader. I'm motivated to live up to their standards, but the company's reformation cannot be carried out in a haughty manner or it will fail. We must talk about everything, come to an understanding, and proceed methodically. There will be backlash if we make changes too rapidly, even if they are the right ones. Gradually changing over time is ideal. There are aspects of running a business that cannot be changed and aspects that can. Parts of the organization that should remain constant, such as its basic values, must be preserved. On the other hand, flexible updates should be made to the portions that are adaptable, or that must change with the times. Since hiring decisions are crucial to an organization's survival, I will personally go over everything. It's critical to place the appropriate individual in the proper position. In the Three Kingdoms for instance, the war would be lost if a warrior was placed in command of the food supply and a weak fighter was placed in the front lines. The finest fighters should be sent to lead the charge and be allowed to excel in combat. In the meantime, the person in charge of the food and weapon supply should be a highly skilled mathematician rather than a combatant. I've also come up with strategies for inspiring our staff. It is imperative that the rewards people receive are commensurate with their work output, encouraging self-motivation to identify and resolve problems rather than only following orders. I will publish the president's message in the corporate newsletter as a first step. I also occasionally use videos. In a video I made titled "You and I Are Both Like J.G. Liang," I kindly seek for advice from every employee. If I were appointed as the strategist, how would you handle things? I asked. More ideas than I could have ever anticipated were included in the enormous response. Everyone seemed really motivated, which made me very happy. I went over each recommendation, request, and viewpoint, dividing them up into things that could be done right away and those that would take more work. When a large number of workers take on the role of the screws or driving force, they can produce amazing power. Something drew my attention when I was reading the opinions. The interviewer, Tom Williams, received an overwhelming amount of criticism. Tom Williams, the interviewer, needs to work on his interviewing technique. Job seekers who are nervous are made much more nervous by him. Although I got employed, I was furious at his impolite behavior. This was too important to ignore, and I started to get angry. 3 interviewers conduct the interviews, although other interviewers who have interviewed Williams have also voiced concerns. Williams allegedly yelled at some candidates during the interview. I talked with the other interviewers, Williams not included, since I thought this needed to be looked into further. Something this significant cannot be left to others. Ministers frequently claim to have given directions during press conferences, but I personally won't be pleased unless I see it for myself. And someone harboring resentment towards Tom could, for instance, assume various identities and submit multiple grievances. I wanted to look into this thoroughly. I wasn't going to call Tom right away and just swallow the criticisms whole. I also sought the advice of Margaret Jones, my most reliable executive assistant. She's young, only 24, but she's very smart, far smarter than me. I have vivid memories of Tom. He used several derogatory phrases and disrespectful remarks regarding my appearance during the interview. That's unbelievable. That's the reason I gave joining this company a lot of thought. This needs to be done immediately. Because of a poor interviewer, we might be passing on some genuine potential and failing to spot a diamond in the rough. Or, even in the event that they are rejected, the interviewer's unfavorable opinion may lead them to select another organization. What course of action should I now take? I learned that several warehouse employees were playing mahjong during their lunch break when I was a sales manager. But when I challenged them about it, all they did was deny it. And that was that. They wouldn't dare act irresponsibly in front of a boss or head of department. That's why it's challenging for management to find out when staff members violate policies. I therefore devised a scheme. My typical short hair was replaced with a lengthy wig and glasses. I always wear suits, so dressing for work further altered my image. I pretended to be one of the drivers from partner companies who deliver to the warehouse. I'm here to make a part delivery. Do you see the outer pallets? Please just leave them there. Don't try to arrive during the lunch break. All right, I apologize. There was a lot of traffic. Wrong? Dealing with you causes us to work through lunch, you know. Fair enough. After arranging the items on the pallet, I heard something roll. I went to look in the office. It turned out that during lunch, a few senior staff members were playing mahjong in the office's rear. While it's ok to play chess over lunch, mahjong has a distinct meaning. It doesn't seem possible to play mahjong after eating because the lunch break is barely an hour long. I followed my suspicion and went back to the workplace around 1 o'clock. To my surprise, they were still playing mahjong. Like I said, the timing had grown sloppy. Most likely, it had been reported by a worried employee. I am aware that it takes guts to speak with senior staff members directly since you run the risk of alienating them or strained relationships. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the executives to stop this kind of behavior. Being in a position of authority means you cannot remain silent. Hey, what's the length of your stay here? After delivering the things, please leave the area. Me, I took off my spectacles and the lengthy wig. Oh, supervisor, it's gotten beyond 1 o'clock. I don't even need to ask, but you're not betting, right? I queried the 4 senior employees, who were now as pale as ghosts, in a composed manner. We swear on everything holy. No betting. I'll believe anything you say. We worked till 12:20 today, so I guess you took a break until 1:20, right? I thought they could be lying because they were perspiring a much, but I said, I got it. It's also not a good idea to treat the partner companies badly. They are not laborers working for us. Since they are equal to us, I believe it is best to treat them with the same decency as a client. How do you feel? I wholeheartedly concur. I'll start being more watchful now. I'm not reprimanding you this time, but there won't be a next time. Without my having to say anything, they ought to understand that. I was thinking back to my large deception operation when I was a manager. It's a bit like a trump card, but it feels deceptive. Employees feel safest and act irresponsibly around the people of the partner company, but they wouldn't dare do anything reckless in front of an executive. Interviewers are in the same boat. When it's just the job seekers, they feel at ease doing things they shouldn't. But if an executive were present, the interviewer would be more serious and tense. I dressed in a long wig and glasses and went to the first floor reception. I have an appointment to meet with President Davis. Please write your name here. They had failed to identify me. This could really work. I wore a name tag, entered the elevator, and stood near a few employees, but no one seemed to notice. Upon arriving at the president's office, Margaret Jones, my assistant, emerged from the door. You know what, President? Why is that clothing on? So I can't fool your eyes, huh? She wasn't on board when I told her about my proposal. I feel like there are other ways to handle this without you going that far, President. I believe that a shock strategy was crucial. Tom needs to stop doing interviews. He might even have to quit the company, depending on the circumstances. The reports I've read indicate that his interviews have been terrible. I chose to execute the plan. I crept into the interview space and stood by with the anxious job seekers. I had the feeling of the lead character in a spy film. but I had to execute the assignment cautiously because getting caught would make a big scene. Finally, it was time for my interview. There were 5 candidates and 3 interviewers. Tom, who was seated in the middle, smirked mockingly when he spotted me. "Are you here for the mid-career interview?" "Yes, thank you for your time." "You're really raising the average age here." "I'm sorry." Tom posed a question following the completion of everyone's self-promotion and introductions. "Starting from the end, tell me what you did in college besides your studies." "Yes, I worked hard at volunteering." Once more, here we go. Giving back. Many of you have brought up it. The previous batch also had a few. Do you really believe that mentioning volunteering will get you kudos right away? No, that's not what I meant. It stunned me. What kind of tone was it? And beyond mocking volunteering, what was he getting at? Perhaps you ought to try concentrating on reducing weight before volunteering. How? I forced myself to resist the impulse to suddenly take Tom by the arm and use a judo technique to knock him to the ground. Her eyes puffy and red, she was at a loss for words. This was an insult that cannot possibly be forgiven. "Since you can't speak because you're crying, next." "Tom," murmured one of the other interviewees, giving him a harsh look, but he disregarded it. Let me guess, are you another volunteer?" Tom questioned with a broad smile, and she gave a small nod while glancing down. "Yes, fantastic. Everywhere you go, you're undoubtedly quite well liked. I take it that you'll be greeted with open arms. How come?" The room's air went cold, but Tom continued as if nothing had occurred. "This kind of thing is too big for you to be upset over. The world of business is challenging. You may occasionally encounter unexpected questions during negotiations. Flexibility and adaptation are crucial. I tell it like it is. You'll undoubtedly get a lot of comments on your appearance at business meals and meetings. I think you grasped what I'm trying to say. You're not suited to work in an office if this is already shocking you." I wanted to give Tom a sneer, but I maintained my composure. Overconfident, Tom started lecturing the job applicants and the interviewers standing next to him. "I know this is an unusual way to interview, but I'm trying to see how flexible you can be. Although most of you read books, research topics online, and practice mock interviews, the actual world isn't like that. Recall that." How conceited then. "Next, Dad, what did you do besides academics at university?" For someone to be called Dad simply because they are older is completely unacceptable. I didn't go to college. I began working as soon as I received my high school diploma. What? Not in a manner. A recent high school grad? You showed some bravery by attending our company's interview despite only having a high school degree. No educational prerequisites were mentioned. Furthermore, President Davis holds a high school diploma as well. Tom said, "Shut up," as his face contorted with wrath at that point. Do you really think that our president's high school diploma is a source of shame? Are you spies for another business of some sort? A middle school or high school education is not something to be embarrassed of. Intelligence is more significant than educational background. Knowledge is important, of course, but what's really needed in the actual world is wisdom, or knowing how to apply what you know. Despite their apparent similarities, wisdom and knowledge are not the same. The most important thing is wisdom. Tom was enraged beyond belief. Are you really giving the interviewer a lecture? You can't genuinely believe that you'll pass, can you? Or are you merely present to make fun of us? Tom suddenly cracked a smile and said, "Why didn't you attend university? Were you too foolish to enter any place? I worked right after high school to help my family. Please don't bore me with your sad tale of being a good son. We will never employ such a prickly old man as yourself. A contentious elderly man. It's logic, not argument. Do you reject logic in general? Enough already. Middle-aged persons with little education are not what we need. Get out of here." This man is wholly unsuitable to conduct interviews. Candidates for jobs should never have to deal with someone like him. I'll be leaving then, though. Yes, leave now. You oaf. Get out, quickly, and go. This exceeded my expectations much. I called each interviewer into the conference room the following day. I sat with the executives as president, setting the tone that we were now interviewing the interviewers. Unfortunately, we've received complaints from both inside and outside the company about inappropriate conduct during interviews, and we need to address this. The interviewers glanced at Tom with apprehensive looks. Tom appeared to recognize that something was amiss and shown signs of discomfort. For job hopefuls, interviews are a significant affair. They could choose how their lives would unfold. Interviewers need to treat them with the same seriousness as a result. During an interview, jokes and rudeness are inappropriate. It is never appropriate to yell at a job candidate. Right now, Tom? Yes. Have you ever told a female job candidate that she should try dieting? I would never utter such words. Definitely not. Did you ever tell an attractive woman that she seems like she'd be popular? Tom scowled at the folks seated next to him after realizing from the details of the inquiries that someone had to have reported him. Well, did you? I promise I never said any of that, and I have no idea who tipped off. Simple interview etiquette dictates that making thoughtless comments about a woman's attractiveness is never appropriate. Have you ever belittled volunteering as a common or trivial activity? Are you going to take these claims at face value, President? Do you not believe that there could be a set-up attempt against me? For that reason, I'm checking in with you right now. I give students who volunteer their praise. They could be paid for the hard work they put in. After all, yet they're doing it for nothing. It's fantastic, and I could never have done it on my own. Tom was still trying to act innocent, but I was getting closer to the truth. Is it embarrassing for our company that I, the president, only completed high school and not college? Why is intelligence not more significant than one's level of education? Of course, having knowledge is important, but in the actual world, what matters is having wisdom or knowing how to apply that knowledge. Despite their apparent similarities, wisdom and knowledge are not the same. What counts most is wisdom. Tom knew what was going on when he heard the same phrases in the same tone. His face went pale as he gave me a wide-eyed glare. No way. That can't be. I spoke slowly and deliberately. Low-educated, middle-aged people are not what we need. Get disoriented. Leave. Go quickly, you moron. Tom's eyes darted around, unable to muster a rejoinder. With a voice that reverberated throughout the space, I yelled, "You are not qualified to conduct interviews. Show off your humiliation." With tears in his eyes, Tom fell back into his chair and tried to explain. It's not like that, President. I was performing a practical interview, as I mentioned during the interview. Even before we discussed the subject, your haughty demeanor and patronizing tone are intolerable. Your role as an interviewer is being terminated. Nah, there was far too much cruelty in what you said in the interview. There is no justification for you. Please wait, President. What is this dad crap all about? Do you always refer to people with such derogatory terms? No, really, I don't. That day was only a little, I promise. Well, one of our warehouse members is retiring, so would you take that spot? The warehouse. I almost burst out laughing. Just after he said he would do anything, he hesitated. If you don't want to, that's fine. No, it's not bad at all. I don't want it. Who said that? Please accept my gratitude for the chance. As I was in charge of him, I made sure to ask the warehouse supervisor for updates on a frequent basis and monitored whether Tom was getting into any problems with the other workers. How is Tom doing? Remarkably, Tom conducted interviews with 3 workers in the warehouse. Treh. After experiencing taunts, jeers, and insults during their interviews, all 3 of them are keen to ensure that Tom is being well monitored. That sounds quite harsh. People can be harsh when the roles are reversed. Tom did an interview with you as well, correct? Indeed. I was stunned when he remarked, "Nice legs," while I was introducing myself. What? Is that all? I'm letting him go. My assistant stopped me just as I was about to stomp out of my office. Now it's all right. That has already happened. I received a call from the warehouse a week later. I see. I understand. I appreciate the update. What took place? Tom quit. I see. I suppose he reached his breaking point. It is unavoidable. Someone's ability to grow personally ends when they become too accustomed to an established system. Take away their title, and it leaves you with nothing. There is nothing they can do. I want to live a life in which I am constantly motivated to get better, put in more effort, and realize my dream life. One's ruin is always a result of arrogance. Indeed. I ought to post a motto similar to our corporate tenet. Could you please put this in writing? Write what down? Integrity first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. I laughed as my helper kept a straight face and remained mute. Does it feel too old-fashioned? All oak, no worries. Although it might not be well liked by the younger audience, I was eager to participate. I want to show that integrity is the most important quality in this disorderly culture.